Hey there, welcome back to Science Flixtion. My name is Salim Sutterwala, and as always, I am joined by my friend and co-host, Carl Ames. Carl, how are you
How's it
doing?
going? I'm doing good. I'm enjoying. I had a caramel apple today. I'm feeling
Caramel
good.
apple,
Yeah,
nice. Did you have it on the stick, or did you have
of
it cut up
course, of course.
with peanuts, or just
Honestly,
just caramel?
on peanuts and caramel, all that stuff.
Nice, nice.
Oh
Those
yes,
are always good. Those are I like those a lot, but like I always get like the nuts stuck in my teeth, and it's annoying.
yeah,
But
that definitely was the case. That's why I ate it a couple of hours ago to make sure it's not on stream.
Nice, nice. But yeah, how was your week? You said you got your ticket right for C2E2, so you're not gonna be standing me up all alone.
No, no, no. I'll be there. I have somewhere to be now on an artist alley. I already told the artist to make sure you save me a print because
Oh,
I
nice.
definitely got something to buy when I get there for sure. So I'll be going.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be it should be a fun time. It's been a while since I went back to a convention like that. So definitely, it was funny. Like when I asked you, I had just randomly Googled. I was like, because I know C2E2. I was like that's should be coming around. Like, and I Googled. I was like, oh wow, it's like 2 weeks away. So I was like, yeah, maybe Carl will want to go. But yeah, that worked out. I also got tickets for uh, No Way Home on opening night. So I'm going to be going to
Nice.
a pretty late show, but um, it's the best I could find with the time and frame and everything. But I wanted to see it that night just because I know I'm so like I've been saying I'm really amped to watch this movie, and I don't want to be want to get spoiled because I know something will get spoiled for
Oh
me,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I don't want I didn't want that situation happening. So like I said, I went ahead and bought those tickets. But yeah, I know
yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I see. I am Socks also got his tickets for Spider-Man. So yeah,
Yeah,
we were ready to go.
yeah, that movie should be that movie should definitely be a blast to finally see after so much anticipation of what's going on. Speaking of anticipation, I think there's people are also equally excited about the other Spider-Man movie we're going to be talking about today, into or across the Spider-Verse, part one, which we found out,
Yeah.
which we'll get into. Also, we're going to be talking about Daredevil, which is a big part of the Netflix Daredevil series, which it's looking more and more like, well, pretty much all but confirmed that they will be back. Well, confirmed. I'm kind of jumping around there, but I think it's pretty much been confirmed that they're back. At least Charlie Cox and uh, more than likely other characters, and then we'll get into that for later. But I know you had a fast flicks that you wanted to mention. You had to put a couple of notes in here, so if you want to go ahead and get into that tidbit really quick.
Yeah, just quick news before we dive deep into all of today's subjects. Some fast flicks. Just only really one thing is that Shang-Chi or Shang I still say Shang-Chi because of comics. Shang-Chi 2 is officially going to be happening. They Marvel Studios and the writer and director Destin Daniel Cretton has been re-signed. Like he's gonna come back and do a whole nother official Shang-Chi movie. He's also doing another I want to say another. He's doing a Disney Plus show. I believe is that's going to be the spin-off show with Shang-Chi's sister and the Ten Rings. I think that's going to be the Disney Plus show, and then is going to be this Shang-Chi movie, which we don't know anything about. Obviously, it's just he just signed a deal. We don't know exactly what they're going to do in that movie. Obviously, we're going to explore more about the Ten Rings, get a little bit more of uh, how Shang-Chi is going to be using them. Presumably, this will possibly drop before the next Avengers movie. We don't really know anything else other than there's going to be a Disney Plus series with his sister, and then we're going to get a whole nother Shang-Chi movie. It did fairly well for being only in theaters, and it's on Disney Plus now. If you haven't seen it at all, it is worth a watch. It does have some cool stuff in it. I know you, Salim, you said you liked the movie quite a bit. I was kind of like, it was like above average.
I thought it was really good. I mean, I thought for a origin movie, especially, I thought it was probably one of the best origin movies that's MCU has done. That was very entertaining. I think they did a good job of. I know they did like so. Shang-Chi, the character, they did a lot of mixing as far as storylines and characters, especially with the character. Like we've talked about the Mandarin often on our show, or a few times we brought him up, but he's like a mix of a couple of different characters. They didn't go strictly pure Mandarin because obviously the Mandarin in the comic book is a very kind of a racist depiction of you know the Chinese people in a sense. So yeah, so it is going to be interesting, and I think I also heard that they may do something on Disney Plus about the Mandarin, like kind of like a background to him
Oh,
as
okay.
well. I thought I saw that. I don't know if that was like one of those because I see a lot of things popping up
Is
sometimes
it maybe
where
like
it's like
this
a
was
rumor.
the tie-in with the sister? Because she's doing the
Yeah,
10 rings, so it might be
maybe
that
or
what you
maybe
saw.
it might be that. But sometimes a lot of things pop up randomly just because there's so many rumors that fly around. So sometimes I do get mixed up if it's actually been confirmed or something that someone is speculating and they ask like Kevin Feige about. But yeah, that should be interesting. I like how they're really getting into these tidbits, smaller characters, and trying to really build up this universe, like it's in the comics, right? There's
Yeah.
this entire universe in the comics, and they're building it up. Obviously, over the 20 years of movies they've done, there's already a universe and so many different characters that they've done. Especially, like I said, when a lot of times when you have a movie, an end game type movie that you do, when you have so many characters like that, it's hard to kind of introduce them all at once, right? But MCU does such a great job of introducing characters as along the way, so you don't have to really get familiar with those characters in Endgame. You already know who they are, and you can just go straight to the action, to the story. You don't have to explain who's what and how is these guys fitting into the storyline and things like that. That's one of the flaws I feel like DCEU has had with like Justice League, because they're trying to introduce all these characters. Now, granted, people know who Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman are, but still, when you're trying to do a semi origin of Wonder Woman at the same time you're introducing her as a whole into these other complex characters, it kind of can be a little too much, and then it can go array. So yeah, I like what MCU is doing. Very excited as a comic book geek that they're really building this up even more. But yeah, let's get into Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So they had released a trailer that came out. I don't know if this is a trailer as much as it's just might a clip or something like that. But what we'll do first is we'll go ahead and play the trailer really quick for those that might not have seen it yet.
She was a bad bird, nevertheless. Calling it quits now, baby, I'm a wreck. Crash at my place, baby, you're a wreck. Every time I'm leaving on you, you don't make it easy, no.
Miles!
Wish I could be
Miles! Miles! You got a minute?
Oh, what? Whoa, Gwen, how did you get? How have you been?
It's a long story. Is this the room you grew up in?
It is, but my dorm room is very adult.
Right. No, of course.
Hey,
Are these your drawings?
what? No,
Oh, they're
no.
good.
I missed you too.
Okay. So, what are you doing here? I mean, I thought I'd never see you again.
Want to get out of here?
I'm grounded.
Bummer.
What?
Is Spider-Man grounded?
I mean, I
All right, so that is the trailer slash I don't know, just clip of
It's just more like a
uh,
teaser. Yeah. Our
teaser of
first. Yeah.
of across the Spider Verse. So Carl, I'll let you lead off here with your thoughts on that whole thing we just saw. The couple of minutes of clips we saw that looks pretty good. I like that, and I'll give you my tidbits that I picked up just from watching it a couple of times over and over again like a crazy person.
Yeah, first I want to quickly answer a chat question
Oh, okay.
from Aldo. How many Spider-Man animated Spider-Man movies have there been? There's only one other. This Into the Spider-Verse, which is the movie prior to this one, for the most part, and that's it. So it's really easy to get into. It does assume that you have some basic working knowledge of Spider-Man, because it doesn't go like completely into Spider-Man, because it's not really about Peter Parker, it's about Miles. So it's going to give you more of a breakdown of Miles, but pretty much just that one movie. And then this is the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. So as far as this trailer goes, it's pretty cool. It's neat. I do love seeing like Miles's how, like, the first thing I saw in this trailer was how different Miles's hair was. It's way curlier and longer, and in part because I think it's because of the time difference. Whether it's a few months or a few years, I think it's a few years since the first movie. He's taller. Gwen is taller. Her hair is longer. She also has a different costume, just slight variations in there. We don't know what. Well, we can see some of Miles' costume, but he had multiple looks in the first movie too. So that's just kind of a Spider-Man thing. They're just going to go through many costumes in one movie. But yeah, he's also kind of implying that he has a dorm room. So I assume he might be a freshman in college at this point. So
he actually had a dorm room in the first one. He goes to like an
right.
academy.
Right. That's what I was kind of thinking that too. But he also said it's very adult. So I don't know if that means he's just more mature or if it's like, well, mature, immature, whatever.
Maybe.
But he's still definitely taller and leaner. Well, he's still a skinny kid, but he's definitely taller. Gwen is taller. Their hair is longer. Some time has passed. Again, it could be a few months or a few years. But yeah, like things are. Well, she's there because she has that the wrist thing on her wrist, which presumably was made by Spider-Man 2099 to get them all to be able to go freely between universes and stuff. And we can't tell a whole lot about what's going to happen in the movie from this. It's just a nice teaser. And but in the very least, we know that it's a part one, which is the really exciting thing about it. It's got at least another part. So there's going to be a big continuation, kind of like how Avengers Infinity War started off being a Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, and then they later changed it to be Endgame, but it's still basically a sequel. So we'll see how what they plan to do with this, but I mean, we have some idea what they could be doing with it, but I'll let you get into that.
Yeah. So adding on to your thoughts, like I said, I watched this over and over again just to see what I could pick up. So one of the things we see is Miles fighting Spider-Man 2099, who's like attacking him. There's a still we have. You'll kind of see it. If you want to throw it up there really quick. So yeah, you kind of see in the back, right there. You kind of see that them going at it. I don't know if they're just kind of tussling, if they're going to be like kind of like, just butting heads and they get into a little tussle. Who knows? But that's Miguel O'Hara again. That who plays in the comics. He's Spider-Man 2099, and it's an interesting twist. Like I said, like he could be recruiting Spider-Man across all the different dimensions. But like I said, they get into a little aggressive play, so maybe that's going to be part of the storyline, or maybe just the beginning. That was a little interesting to me. And then also in that same clip, if you will, the next picture, so right there when Miguel encounters Miles, he kind of drags him into another dimension using the device that you mentioned, and the device it says 928. So fans of like Spider-Man 2099, if you read the comics at all, will recognize the number. That's the dimension that Miguel is from. And again, you also mentioned that Gwen has that same kind of device that she's wearing. So possibly Miguel has recruited her to kind of help him with something or another. Obviously, they're all going through the different dimensions. Another thing, I didn't have a picture for this. I couldn't find it. It was in the trailer though, but you kind of also see something called the Web of Life and Destiny. That's something that all in the comic books that's how they travel interdimensionally between all the universes. He's kind of, you see Miles kind of swooping through it as like, out of control. He's just kind of going through it like that. And then also I saw where he looks like he has a new suit, because in the first one, the final suit that he's wearing when he goes to where all the other Spider-Men are, Spider-Man and women and pigs are, he goes there and he's wearing like some kind of hood, like he has like a hood. His suit has like a hood attached to it. This doesn't. It looks like it's a brand new suit. And like you said, yeah, he probably did grow, so he probably had to get a new suit because, like, he's taller now. He doesn't fit into the other old one. And then if you remember, when in the first one, when he goes to Aunt May's, like the Aunt May or Peter Parker's Aunt May, she has like all these different spider suits down there. So it's probably like one of those that he picked out to change into it, as opposed to the one he was wearing. So those are some of the things I noticed, just like I said, when I went back to get into, like, just to understand the different things that maybe I could have missed when I watched it the first time.
You remember the first suit not the first suit, but the black suit that he had in the first movie, the spider logo was spray painted on that suit. But in this trailer, it's more of it's at least a cleaner looking spider. Like you can even see on that picture where he's fighting 2099, the spider logo it's like clean lines on there. So it's actually like, it's not spray painted on there, because that's spray paint's not going to last that long on a costume, especially if you're going through all of the fighting and stuff like that. So it's definitely a new costume. It's not the same one. And then presumably there'll be more costumes. I don't think that what we're seeing now in that trailer is going to be his final look at the end of the movie.
No, yeah, probably not. It'll be, like I said, it'll be interesting. Especially, it'll be interesting to see how many different Spider-Man end up in this movie. I know there's a few you mentioned that were confirmed. If you want to go ahead, and I think you had some.
Well, these aren't confirmed. These are I have just ones that I want to, like, this is like a wish list for me, but we can say so. And as far as what we're going to get in the movie, for sure we're getting Gwen, we're getting Miles, we're getting 2099, and I hope that means we're getting everyone back from the first movie, which would be Spider-Man Noir and Penny Parker, with the Robo Spider, SPDR or Spider, and then getting Spider Ham back. So I hope that we get everyone back. Was it Nicolas Cage was voicing Spider-Man Noir? And then I believe it is confirmed we're getting Peter B. Parker back, but that's the voice of Chris Pine. So I believe that is confirmed. And then
sorry. So isn't Chris Pine's Spider-Man died in the first one? So he's coming back?
Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's right. He was that one. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm thinking. Jack Johnson. Yeah, okay, never mind. Not Chris Pine, because we do hear his voice in the trailer. If you go back, you can actually hear his voice. I just confused the names, but yes, it was Jack Johnson. And then it is also confirmed, because it happened over the summer, that I don't know how to say her name, Issa Rae is going to be Jessica Drew / Spider-Woman. That is official. She will be in this movie. And then it's rumored that the 70s Spider-Man from the live action Japanese show is supposed to be in this movie. Just a rumor, not necessarily confirmed yet. And then I just wanted to go over a couple of versions of Spider-Man that I hope make it into this movie. Not a confirm. It's just my own personal desire. Just throwing stuff out there. I wanted. Okay, so my idea is that I don't know if you ever watched I'm sure you watched the animated series from the 90s. And then they had that one Spider-Verse crossover towards the end, where they had all these different Spider-Man, and Madam Web brought them all together. And there was a version of Spider-Man that had the armored costume. It's the Mark I armor costume. Is all silver and black. That Spider-Man in that universe, he made that costume because that's straight from the comics. And I believe he made that costume in the comics because of the Enforcers. If I remember correctly, he was just getting shot at a lot and he wanted to have a bulletproof costume. I don't know 100% for sure, but it's one of my favorite costumes. And in that animated series, that Spider-Man kept wearing that costume going forward in that alternate universe. So I would love for that stuff like that to happen, so we can just get alternate costumes of Spider-Man to just be alternate versions of Spider-Man and have that going for, and just that be a version. And then secondly, the Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, is a clone of Spider-Man. I'd love to see Ben Reilly, but specifically in the Scarlet Spider costume, because one of my favorite costumes, one of my favorite characters. I started reading Spider-Man around this time that he was introduced, and I just think it's just super cool and slick. Although I do love his costume when he became Spider-Man, I don't want him represented in that costume because I want Mayday Parker wearing that costume, and that's my last pick, because I would love for her to be in this movie. This character on the right, she is the daughter of Spider-Man in an alternate future where he actually had children with Mary Jane, and she inherited his spider powers and wore the costume of Ben Reilly because Peter Parker kept it after Ben Reilly died. So I these are like literally some of my favorites. This and like the Iron Spider costume those are my favorite costumes of Spider-Man. So I would love to see all of these in the movie, but that's just me having some fun. Did you
Yeah, I
have any
think
costumes that you or spider characters that you wanted to see?
yeah, there's the same ones really that you mentioned, and I think this funny the Ben Riley one. If you remember, they also had uh, a cartoon for that too. I think it was Spider-Man Unlimited when he goes because it's a different that based on
He
like
wasn't Ben Riley in that, but they had
was it
I
not?
remember that. No, it wasn't Ben Riley. No,
Oh,
but
because I
that
thought
I
it was
remember
Ben
that.
Riley.
Mm.
Because it is in a different universe. It's not in Peter Parker's regular universe. So
Yeah, if I
um
remember, which I hated that cartoon, but if I remember,
yeah, it was weird. It was weird. It had John Jameson was in it as the wolf.
yeah, that
Um
was cool though. If I
yeah.
remember correctly, it was almost a continuation of the original or the '90s uh, series where
Oh,
they
was
kind
it?
of it seemed like it at the beginning, like they just kind of try to transition you from that to the unlimited. So it wasn't like an official continuation, but they kind of like the first couple episodes or the first episode when they go from he's in New York and now he's in an alternate universe. It just seems like they were just transitioning you away from that. But either way, I hated the show because it was just so weird.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't care
yeah.
for it much either. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm overall as far as other Spider-Man, I'm not really, I haven't put too much thought about it. Just a couple of ones that you mentioned would be cool. And then obviously them bringing back the other ones that we saw in there. What will be interesting to me is I do wonder what the bad guy will be. Like, um, I wonder like who the main villain will be, and I'm guessing the main villain is going to probably be somebody that is trying to do something again through the all the different dimensions. So that's going to be that'll be fun to find out as well. Um, but yeah,
Did you believe it? Believe that it was going to be the Inheritors or no?
that's what there's being rumored, but they haven't confirmed anything. I know that's the one of the uh, main villains in the comics that kind of goes through the different dimensions and tries to, wreak havoc, if you will. But it'll be interesting. Like I said, it'll be interesting if that ends up being who they have. And it might make sense too, because if they're doing a two-parter, um, that's a pretty big long storyline. So it would make sense as far as them doing picking that character to be the main villain and then going into a second part depending on how they end the first part. So, but yeah, we'll move on to Daredevil now. But I do want to answer a question. I think King Pookie Nation. I saw he had a question about he wasn't sure how Eternals, not related to our show currently, but how Eternals fit into um, the MCU and what it's looking like to me at least, because I know for a fact that if Kevin Feige said he wants to get more like out of space or like other worlds involved, more make it more of like an outer space thing with the next phases. And I think that's part of it. And then I had my one theory from the comic books um, was obviously when the Eternals, or sorry, when the Celestials come to Earth in the comics, they do three things, right? I said they create Eternals or Deviants, then Eternals, and then give the humans the mutant X gene. So I think that also will set up. This also kind of sets up in the future for them to bring in mutants. And I think, like I said, I think that MCU already has mutants in there amongst them. Obviously, they just haven't been introduced yet, but they will here at some point, slowly and surely. And like I said, even in WandaVision, I had thought um, she was kind of exhibiting, like when she was a little kid, that she probably had powers. And that's about the age when mutants start, showing their powers when she said. So Yeah, I think that's what the Eternal mixes the Eternals mixes in as why how it'll fit. Those from that they'll start introducing more characters from like outer space and from different galaxies and things like that. So I don't know. I hope that answers your question, King Pookie. But
And
yeah,
we did do a like a whole episode on our thoughts on
oh yeah,
Eternals, a review, and the post credits and stuff about a month ago. So if you would
yeah.
check out the YouTube channel on Barroom Network, videos up there so you can watch it anytime.
Yeah, 100%. That you can also check that out as well. But yeah, so we'll get into Daredevil here, and Kevin Feige's been all over right now, obviously doing different press stuff for Spider-Man: No Way Home, and then he gets asked a bunch of different questions for various different things for MCU, and one of the things he was asked about was Daredevil. And on Cineblend, this is a direct quote from him. He says, "If you were to see Daredevil in the upcoming things, Charlie Cox, yes, would be the actor playing Daredevil. Where we see that, where we see that, how we see that, when we see that remains to be seen." But I think you and I have, talked speculatively um, as far as where we imagine these characters showing up. Um, just to kind of get my thoughts on Charlie Cox. There's a still in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Although if you want to throw it up real quick, so obviously that's Charlie Cox. He's not in like that. His face is not in. But when you look at that arm, he's talking to like a lawyer. It looks like or somebody, and I think that might be Charlie Cox. That's like the rumor also going around that that's probably Charlie Cox. Him talking to him, discussing the case because obviously in Far From Home he was accused of killing Mysterio, or that basically how, and then he was uncovered as Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and so I think that's probably him, in my opinion. More than likely, that's him. What are your thoughts as far as Charlie Cox potentially being in No Way Home? I know we've briefly talked about it in the past, but not sure if what your thoughts are.
Certainly a chance, and it would be reasonable for him to show up. Although, given the way that the trailers have been, it kind of doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of room for it. I don't know. It's weird because obviously the reasons why, he's gonna, he's obviously being, arrested or whatever, talked to by the police and stuff. But does he ever get the point to where he is actually in court? And I really, or is that where Doctor Strange comes in and they just avoid all of that? Because that seems like it's going to take a long time if they're actually going to have him go through court and have him have a lawyer or something like that. And why, and also why would Daredevil just randomly defend Spider-Man out of nowhere? So I don't necessarily see that it's happening, but it would be a good
Well,
place for him.
Well, he's a public servant, so like he would want to pick up the case. And I know in the comics, a lot of times Matt Murdock, when he sees a case that's intriguing, he'll go visit like the person, and because he can sense if someone's lying or if someone's bad or whatever, because of his it's because of the the accident that he had a kid at with the chemicals that made his like sonar and his eye, he's essentially like a bat sonar, but then he can also just tell if like from a person's heartbeat if they're telling the truth, if they're lying, and things like that. So I guess I could see that scenario. Like, yeah, I see this kid. He's also, from the same. Obviously, he's Daredevil's from Hell's Kitchen, but in that same vicinity, like the neighbor, the streets of New York. He protects the streets of New York, and I should probably see if I can help this guy if he's innocent for real. If Spider-Man is actually a good person, I should help him. So maybe I could see something like that happening.
Yeah, if that were the case, he would have to know that going in to like he wouldn't go in there to find out if he was telling the truth or lying. He would probably read that like from off of hearing it because obviously you can't see him on TV, but like if he heard his voice and he heard like sincerity or maybe
Or
even
that too.
foggy or
That too.
something like that. But I highly doubt he would just be like, you know what, this kid that's supposed to be Spider-Man, let's see what his deal is. Oh, you know what, I don't think he would go all the way out of his way to do that, because kind of like he's already a busy guy, so especially if he's trying to take down Kingpin and all of that stuff. But speaking of Kingpin, we've we're gonna totally talk about Hawkeye on this show, the Hawkeye show at length once it's over. The fourth episode just went up today, but for the most part, we'll talk about the whole series after the series is over. So there's 6 episodes, so 2 more to go. But last week we got a little bit of a teaser as they were talking about this uncle character with Echo, and this would be the uncle giving young Echo a little cheek squeeze there, a little pep talk. But that's very much feels like, looks like, seems like it could have been the Kingpin, and they even teased it this in today's episode as well, talking about this character that is don't want to make them angry, and you don't want things to go all the way to the top. So for sure it seems like that they are seasoning everything up for not just Kingpin and Daredevil, but for everyone, because I mean, why even was this question brought up to Kevin Feige about Daredevil? And it just seems all too convenient that all of this stuff is just lining up with Daredevil and now Kingpin showing up, and or seemingly showing up, and we're talking about Daredevil, and then Spider-Man's coming out pretty soon, so maybe he's in the movie, and then the Echo series was announced a couple weeks ago, so we're definitely going to see more Echo, and presumably Daredevil and Kingpin is showing up in that series. So there's this kind of a lot of things just popping up with all of these characters from the Netflix verse, but they just never been in official Marvel movies, Marvel MCU stuff. But what were your thoughts on the Kingpin teaser, as well as I just wanted to know, like, how do you feel about the Netflix shows, and how many have you watched? How do you feel about the universe? Things like that.
So that's definitely Vincent D'Onofrio. Like I'm a huge Vincent D'Onofrio fan, and the laugh, it's Vincent D'Onofrio, because he does a little laugh, like when he's pinching her cheek, young Maya Lopez's cheek, that is, and that's definitely Vincent D'Onofrio's laugh. So that's him. It's going to be interesting if they'll introduce him in this series, Hawkeye. Maybe like the final episode, he'll make an appearance. I'm hoping, like I've said multiple times, I'm kind of hoping we'll get into the Netflix series, and I love those series. That was probably, I've said it to this day, that's easily my favorite show. Daredevil's my favorite show. Like as far as like all shows are concerned, it was just like so good to me, in my opinion. But I think I would like for them to have no one know that he's Kingpin. Like I hope they kind of erase like some of the stuff. Like maybe I'll be okay if, like, obviously Charlie Cox knows, Daredevil knows that he's the Kingpin. That would be fine, I think. But I think it would be cool if they went back, especially because if they use him for Spider-Man, if they use him for Daredevil, it'd be kind of cool to see him kind of be, again, behind the scenes, controlling all these different things. Especially when they're going to do the next 3 movies for Spider-Man as well, like the next trilogy, now that all the home trilogies is about to end. I would be really cool if something where he is kind of the guy that is like, controlling the main obstacle for Spider-Man in the next 3 movies, or Daredevil as well, in some way or form. So that would be cool, in my opinion. So, but yeah, as far as the Netflix series is concerned, like I've heard rumors too that for Echo, like when they do that show for Disney Plus, like those characters are supposed to be in Echo. So like
Hmm.
Foggy, Karen Page, obviously Charlie Cox, Kingpin, all those people are supposedly supposed to be in that series, and that's going to be like they're going to be involved somehow, one or another. I don't know if the entire series or each of them will show up at different times because obviously the show is about Maya Lopez Echo, but who knows how they'll interact with her. And it makes sense, like, because I Echo with her disability, and then obviously Matt Murdock has a disability. So like technically a disability. He can see and sense things better than any person can ever sense things, see and sense things. He's technically not blind. He is blind, but he's not in ways. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that connects out as well.
Quick question from chat: is Venom Carnage on Disney Plus? It is not. Venom is a Sony production that was made in association with Marvel. It is things on Disney Plus are made by Marvel Studios, and Venom is made by Sony. So Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage are going to be available, well, not on Disney Plus, but other places wherever Sony decides to do streaming. And that is also the case with, which is actually funny, or just a quick sidetrack about Deadpool, because they own the rights to Deadpool now. But since Deadpool movies are rated
Rated
R,
R, right?
And they are not on Disney Plus. All the other X-Men movies are on Disney Plus. The Deadpool movies are not. However, they are available on Hulu. So if you don't have a Hulu subscription, or if you do have a Hulu subscription, you can actually watch Deadpool and Deadpool 2 on Hulu, because that's where they put their more adult or R-rated content. They being Disney, they being Marvel. So they also have the Hit Monkey animated series that started a month ago, and the MODOK animated series that started a few months ago. Those are very much more on the adult side, but those will never hit Disney Plus. So if you're interested in more violence and adult humor on Marvel content, then you would need to go to Hulu for that. In general, getting back to the discussion. So, of all of the Netflix shows, have you seen them all? Have you seen every season?
Yeah,
So we
all
had
of them.
like Jessica Jones had 3 seasons, Luke
Mhm.
Cage had 2 seasons, Daredevil 3 seasons, Iron Fist had 2 seasons. There was the Defenders series that was 1 season, and the Punisher had 2 seasons. So I've watched all of those,
Yeah,
and
same. I watched them all as well.
I think the consensus is that Daredevil is by far, at least my opinion, is Daredevil's by far the best out of all of them.
Right.
Season 1,
Punisher will
season
be two,
2,
I
season
think.
3, and then I'll rate with you. Punisher is probably the second best.
Although I'll say Jessica Jones season 1, that was really good. I really loved
Mhm.
how they did character building in that show. Like there was so much depth to each character in that show in that first season. I thought in the third season they kind of went away with it. I kind of got annoyed by how they finished that. I liked Luke Cage season 1. Season 2 was, I don't know. I didn't know where they were going with it. It was kind of weird, like, to me. I didn't know
I
because I
actually
didn't know.
liked season 1 and season 2 of Luke Cage, but
I
they're
liked it. I liked
very
it.
different.
No, I liked it for sure, but I just feel like they kind of left things open because they thought they were going to have a season 3, but they never did.
Mhm.
So I just felt like I felt like
Not their
longing.
fault though.
I know. It just, but that's what I'm saying though. It's not their fault, but it's still because of the fact that they never got to do a season 3. I felt like there wasn't a resolution. And by the way, shout out to former Chicago Bear Thomas Jones. He's in Luke Cage.
Nice.
So yeah, he plays I forget his name in that show, but he gets killed by one of the characters, unfortunately. But he does a really great job in that show. Shout out
Yeah,
to Thomas Jones.
with Luke Cage, man, it's like season 1 and season 2 are like season 1 was like a celebration. Like they treated it like a celebration, like we're getting a black superhero where he's
Right.
getting his own show. We're like pulling everybody out from all the music acts, all of the top acting talent. We're getting everybody in on this one season, and we're going hard for it. We got Method Man, we've got Raphael Sadiq with music, we got all of these classic, licensed songs or classic songs within R&B and hip hop. We got everyone providing new content, and they're writing new music for this, because one of the biggest things about Luke Cage season 1 is the music. It's just the incredible soundtrack,
Yeah.
right?
I love
And then
Method Man's little rap that he did, the Bulletproof
right,
Love.
and it was really inspiring. A bulletproof black man. Everyone needs that right now. Is one of the things that they're selling about, and that's what Luke Cage is. And it was a very, very progressive and good, just great season 1. And then you also have Mahershala Ali in there as Cottonmouth, which everyone hated that he died so fast, but okay.
Yeah,
But still,
he's a great actor, obviously, and he did a really good job with that part as well.
right. But season 1, awesome stuff. Season 2, you can tell that they cut back that budget big time. All of that music is gone. We have brand new music, but it's made by not the same artists, completely, new artists, or just, unknowns for, trying to be respectful. But for the most part, they weren't the veterans of the music game. For season 2, trying to move the plot forward, trying to get Luke Cage away from the Jessica Jones thing, but still knowing that it's kind of out there, trying to get him involved with Iron Fist, but not too much because Iron Fist. And also trying to move forward with Night Nurse. What was her name? Claire. Trying to move things forward with her, and it just went in a direction where it was just kind of different from the first season, a little unexpected, but still I loved Bushmaster a lot. Like I just loved every time he was on screen, and I loved him as a villain for Luke Cage. I thought the season was pretty good, but did drag on a little bit. But for the most part, yeah. So going back to my rankings, it was Daredevil, Punisher, and then I would say Jessica Jones season 1, like you're saying, just season 1 would be right there. But if I'm going to do the whole thing, I'd say Luke Cage is better than Jessica Jones. But
yeah,
if we're just doing just with the one season, then Jessica Jones season 1 is better than Punisher for just that one season. Because like I said, Jessica Jones season 1, like the problem with her is that she doesn't have a whole lot of material to pull from, and what she's known for in the comics is what season 1 was for, and everything else for season 2, season 3, they just kind of made up for the character. And it's just I don't remember if it was season 2 or season 3 that focused on her mother, but I hated that season, whatever it was. I thought it was terrible. The other season, I think that was season 2, and then season 3 was something else. I don't remember, but I thought it was fine. And then obviously Iron Fist is bringing up the rear. Defenders is just okay. Iron Fist season 1 was awful. Season 2 was okay, better. It was Defenders that made Iron Fist more acceptable. Like they figured some things out with his dynamic with Luke Cage, and then they brought it back for season 2 for what was like 1 episode or 2. And then Colleen Wing and Luke Cage was great, but she was like the only thing in Luke Cage, or excuse me, not Luke Cage, in Iron Fist. Colleen Wing was the only thing in Iron Fist that I actually enjoyed. So, do you think, like, how do you feel about the plots if they were like to bring all of that and say it was canon to the MCU, or Do you think that you should go and say that was an alternate universe and start something fresh? Where are you with what you want them to do with these characters?
So I don't know if they need to say it's an alternate universe. I mean, they could just kind of wash it off and pretend like it never existed. I mean, it doesn't hurt them to do that, other than just doing where these characters like Karen, for example, with Daredevil, these characters like Karen Page, Foggy Nelson, and Matt Murdock, they already have that relationship somehow. So they can already carry that over. And maybe they can carry over where they potentially know, or at least maybe Charlie Cox's Daredevil knows that Charlie Cox / Daredevil know that Wilson Fisk is the Kingpin. But they can just bring those in. Like that's what I would prefer. Like start over in a sense, not really have those shows storylines carry over too much. And obviously Elektra as well. That'll be interesting if they bring her over. I'm guessing maybe they will eventually, because obviously if you're gonna have Daredevil, you have to have Elektra at some point involved with him in some manner. So
weird me out that they didn't do like an official Bullseye. Like it was like a kind of Bullseye, but they didn't like really. This is Bullseye sort of.
Well, thing. I liked him better than the Colin Farrell Bullseye though.
I like them. I like Colin Farrell. I unironically like the Ben Affleck
really?
Daredevil. Yes.
I don't know.
I do.
They tried to do like a Frank Miller thing, but they failed.
Yeah, I'm not definitely not going to say it's like a great movie, but I still like. I like Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. I like Colin Farrell as Bullseye. Ben Affleck was a decent Daredevil. Matt Murdock. Jennifer Garner as Elektra was okay. The movie, her movie was not okay, but in general, I definitely was. I was totally fine. Like I really loved Michael Clark Duncan for sure. He made it. He made a very believable Kingpin to me. And then
he was good.
Just seeing all of the different like the Bullseye, he had like the paper clip or whatever, and he's like flicking dudes in the throat and stuff. Like all that stuff was cool to me.
I guess all right. I know. I was disappointed in that movie because I was expecting like something a lot better than what it ended up being personally. But anyways, I think the other one I heard rumors too. I don't know if you know, but they said Punisher is confirmed to come back as well. As far as that character, and like I said, we already talked about how that character. I think it was the second best. And John Bernthal. Do you hear a beeping, or is that just me?
I do hear a beeping.
I wonder what that is. What if it's my headset? If that goes out, oh well. I can maybe just turn it off. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Might have been I need to recharge it or something. But yeah, so I think John Bernthal was like a fantastic Punisher. He played him really well. I thought the entire series was great. So it will be. Oh, see, it's still happening. Why is it happening? I don't get it. Anyways, we'll worry about it later. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to Punisher as well.
So was this a confirmation or a rumor? Because I haven't heard anything.
Said that he's gonna be back, but they just don't know when and what form and when, like where and what form. But they did say that he would be back as well. And John Bernthal is going to be playing the Punisher at some point again.
Well, the other ones are the real mystery here, because as far as I know, Kristen Ritter is not doing anything right now, so she is available. But Mike Coulter is on a series, I believe, on CBS right now. Doesn't mean that he can't do two things at the same time, but I know one of the reasons he was like kind of holding out on doing that series because he wasn't sure if he was going to be Luke Cage in the future. But since Luke Cage got cut with everything else, he was able to do the series. So he's been doing that for a while. And then Finn Jones is the the real talk of all of this, because unless there's somebody in chat right now that likes him, I don't know if anybody really liked him as Iron Fist, and the show was by far the worst performing out of all of them. And I saw some rumor, which I meant to look into a little bit more, that he didn't even, like, he refused to train, is the rumor that I heard. Like people were trying to get him to learn martial arts and stuff like that, and exercise, but he just like was against all of that, and it kind of showed, I guess.
Yeah.
Rumor, don't know if it's true. I don't remember where I heard it from, but in general, still nobody really, or I should say, very few people liked Finn Jones as Iron Fist, and very few people liked the Iron Fist series. So the question is, if you're Kevin Feige, do you cherry pick the actors and actresses from these series who should come back? Should Karen Page come back from what's her name? I literally just heard her name like an hour ago.
I've mentioned it a few times. She's in Daredevil. She's
right.
She's their like secretary. Then she becomes
right. I'm trying to think of the actress name, but
her real name.
Right, yeah. Karen Page is a character.
She was also in True Blood.
True Blood. Mm-hmm. I literally was watching a stream and they were talking about her doing Dungeons and Dragons on some other stuff. So apparently she plays Dungeons and Dragons. I just can't think of her name right now. But do you want her back? And I certainly do.
Yeah,
I her.
I want all those characters back.
I want all the characters back from Daredevil.
And the original people that played them, because I thought they did all a great job.
Right. Do you bring back Elodie Young for Elektra? Do you bring back Mike Coulter as Luke Cage? Do you bring back Finn Jones? Do you bring back Jessica Henwick for Colleen Wing? Do you bring all of these actors and actresses back, regardless of what happened? Do you give them the benefit of the doubt that their shows didn't do well because of Netflix, or because of, the poor, maybe it's poor writing, poor direction? Like, do you just say, hey, we can do better because we're Marvel Studios? Or do you go in your own direction? Do you even give emphasis to Iron Fist? Do you let it go? Do you ignore Luke Cage? Would that be bad to ignore Luke Cage because he is black, and that would be a very weird thing to say? Let's bring Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Punisher, but not that Luke Cage. No, that would be really weird.
Bring them back. I think, you know what it is. I keep hitting this stupid machine under my fax copier, so that's what the beeping is. Anyways,
gotcha.
Sorry about that, but yeah, no, I think they should bring them back. And like I said, it could just be if the MCU takes it over, the story writing and doing it on Disney Plus, the shows and stuff like that, they could maybe do a better job with it. And I would really like to also see them do Defenders for Hire. Heroes for Hire, Defenders for Hire. Defenders is the other group. Heroes for Hire with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And then obviously there's other people that end up joining as well down the line, various different characters. Because I think even Shang-Chi is part of the Heroes for Hire at one point, as an example. But I would like to see these characters brought back. And like I said, maybe they don't have to have their own shows again, or maybe they can be one show combined. Like I said, like for example, Heroes for Hire.
Yeah, Heroes for Hire. I would be fine Jones with.
Obviously fits in with Heroes for Hire as well. So
I'd be fine with if they didn't bring back Luke Cage as his own show and Iron Fist as his own show, if they put them together for Heroes for Hire, because that's what we all wanted anyways. When we saw each show, is like, okay, when are you going to put those two together and not just have it be a one episode one-off? Like, we want Heroes for Hire. So if we put them both together and make that a show, and that I'd be more interested in both of them. And then we got to get some form of a costume for Iron Fist, because what he was wearing in the show was not acceptable.
Right. And like I said, if they bring him back, I think they should. Like I said, better writing could definitely improve the character. What would be interesting though, because in the comics right now they have an Asian character playing Iron Fist, I believe. So maybe they go.
Yeah, they just started that.
So maybe they do go that route and bring in another Asian character into MCU, because obviously they brought in Shang-Chi and that worked out really well. So maybe they go that route with Iron Fist and make it an Asian character instead of the traditional Danny Rand. And I'll say this: like, I know people were mad originally with the Danny Rand remaining white. It for him specifically, originally Iron Fist. When you know the story, he has to be, I think, in my opinion, at least by the way I say, because in Kung Lao, when he becomes Iron Fist, the whole point of that character, he's a complete outsider. Like, the fact that a complete outsider was able to do it, to become or gets bestowed this honor of becoming the Iron Fist, because he's supposed to be this privileged, not from that area, so making him white American, this arrogant American white guy that is privileged, and he's completely opposite of anything in that mystic land of Kung. Kung. Am I saying that right? Kung
Long.
Kung Long. Sorry, Kung Long. That's right, Kung Long. So it makes sense that you keep them white in a sense, because that matches up, and that's the reason why in the comics they had it like that as well, because that character matches up. But now the new character is definitely it's intriguing, that if they go that route, that's something that they could do as well. Have him, especially if they're not really going to bring the storylines over and have any connection in that regard. So that could work out as well. So
it's funny. I made a whole video on Iron Fist should have been Asian, like right before. Well, it was because of Finn Jones being cast on my other YouTube channel. So I have a YouTube channel now that I just make action figures and stuff on. So I did not make this one, but I make action figures. So that's my current YouTube channel. I have my other YouTube channel that was for my blog that I used to have, and I made that made that blog and made a YouTube video specifically talking about Finn Jones, and then talking about Shang-Chi, because this was before there was a Shang-Chi movie even announced and that they had any plans. The MCU was, what was this? It was like 4 or 5 years ago that I made this video and talked about this. So and you should see the comment section on that video, boy. Yeah, a lot of people feel the way that you do, but
no, I mean, it's not like I just said. Like, it's not about like I was against it. It makes sense that he and
the point I'm trying to make is that
like, I'm not mad
one,
about it.
like him being an outsider doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be, to be an outsider you have to be white. Like, you have to be an outsider. So that I believe maybe that I don't know if Kung Lung is based on Tibetan or Tibet. I'm not 100% sure, but you just have to be an outsider. And really, at the time, which was important, at the time of that video, when they were making this Iron Fist show, they were selling Iron Fist as the greatest martial artist within Marvel, which is 100% false. Iron Fist is definitely not the best martial artist. It was Shang-Chi. Correct. And then I would still put Daredevil higher as a fight. Like, if Iron Fist and Daredevil fought, I would put my money on Daredevil. And then there's Captain America and Black Panther, and that's where Iron Fist kind of floats in there, and that he can kind of go back and forth. But I would still probably put my money on Captain America and Black Panther over Iron Fist. So I didn't like all of that talk, and then I put it out there in that video that Iron Fist should have been Asian from the beginning, and he was like created in the 70s, if I remember correctly, and that's why they got to Shang-Chi, because of Bruce Lee, mega influence on martial arts across the world, and everyone had their Bruce Lee clones and their Bruce Lee parodies, and that's what Shang-Chi is basically. And then there was the outsider Iron Fist coming along after the fact. And if they had just, I felt like, again, if they just made him Asian in the Netflix show, it would have been a little bit more successful. Or if they just had a better actor than Finn Jones, in the very least.
Maybe. I mean, my interpretation is like complete outsider, so not even looks like them. That's what to me is.
Which again, still doesn't have to be white. Could be a
I'm
black guy. Could have been a
sure, but like I
Mexican
said,
dude. That's an
sure,
outsider too.
sure. But the
Wouldn't that be
point
cool?
is,
A Mexican
people are
Iron
mad that he
Fist?
no. People were not mad because he wasn't a minority. People were mad because he was an Asian, and that's what I'm saying. Specifically being from that area, he was a complete outsider. He didn't look like that. So yeah, if he wanted to make him black, he could probably make him black. But I'm just saying, a complete outsider. That's why they probably left him as. That's why they didn't make him Asian. That's just it. That's the reason. So yeah. But anyways, we'll wrap up here. I don't know, we're going a little longer than I think we originally thought we would go. But what were your any final thoughts on everything we talked about today?
For the most part, the only thing, well, nothing really at all. Just excited for Spider-Verse. I do think that the plot will be involving the Inheritors, because I don't see anything else that they could make worth two movies, or presumably two movies out of on their own, without adapting something. And the only thing worth adapting with all of these spider characters is the Inheritors, because there's two Spider-Verse stories. There's Spider-Geddon, which happens later on after the first Spider-Verse movie, or Spider-Verse story, which I believe is still involves the Inheritors to some extent. So I would assume that this movie is going to be about Morlun and the rest of the Inheritors, and we'll probably see Silk in it, and maybe Madam Web.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, like how they'll bring those characters in. And then the last bit, I'll say again, Carl and I are going to be going to C2E2. So our next show we will talk about that, just our experience and what we saw and anything that we discovered potentially that could be related to anything comics related or anything going forward. But yeah, that's pretty much a wrap for today's show. You can follow me at Science Flixtion, and then you can follow Carl at Ninja Chortle. And that's a wrap for today's show. Thank you for tuning in.